listening tonight. I got a feeling that the cards just ain't right. I'm so salty, must not give in to rage. And I'm wondering what those rollers will say. Scarves to the left of me, cheers to the right. Here I am, gonna roll a derby tonight. Gonna roll a derby tonight. Gonna roll a derby tonight.
G'day everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hidden City Roller Derby. I am your host Simcof, and I'm joined as always by a motley crew of rollers. I have with me Butters.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Merlin.
What up?
And Glen, aka Remedy.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
What an exciting week. CotE. Have you guys, I'm sure you guys have been playing. I know I've played probably more games of L5R this week than I have any other week. Have you guys had a lot of fun?
Yeah, no, I've been straight into it, or trying at least. I've had at least 3 games, which is more than my average week.
3 games. And
Yep.
is cheap and nasty still the way to go, or have you actually been playing with any of the new cards?
No, I've actually moved on to cheaper and nastier. So I've got the entire conflict deck down now to only 2 fate cost total in the entire conflict. So
wow.
I think it's going well. The old hand-to-hand has done really well. So
Hand-to-hand's made it.
Yeah, absolutely. None of this fucking favors garbage from Scorpion anymore.
Nice, of course. So what are the two?
So now the 3 viable splashes is like Lion, Dragon, and Scorpion, and that's it, right?
Yeah, well, I almost actually ran Way of the Support of the Scorpion as my splash, but I needed Ready for Battle because it's a bit too important in that deck. So it's moved on now. We've got 3 hand-to-hand, 3 Ready for Battle, and 1 Even the Odds as a bit of a surprise.
Even the odds. I absolutely
it's quite
love
good.
it.
It's just that last minute jump in and showed you Aramura or someone to death is super handy and works out a lot. It's good.
Hey Merlin, have you managed to crack open your packs and play a few games, or play on Jigaku at least?
Mate, as soon as I got my pack, I opened it. But as far as playing with it goes, I haven't been able to. I got back into Hong Kong, and I had a tournament to go to where it wasn't legal. So all of my decks are still non-Children of the Empire. But I have been following. Like I followed that stream that was on last weekend. What was it? Meek Informant?
Yeah, the one. Yeah, we cast that, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was listening to your sultry pear-shaped tones. It was fantastic.
How are tones pear-shaped? Out of curiosity, like how do you dictate what?
I don't know. I'm told the Earth is pear-shaped, but I don't see it either.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ECs, and it was quite fun, like to see. You know, what was absolutely mad was that the first Children of the Emperor legal CotE, sorry, not CotE, Elemental Championship, but Premier event was won by a Lion that was won mostly through Dishonor. Like, it's just crazy.
That was great. I'm so inspired by that.
What
actually,
a fantastic way to start! Like, the first fantastic way to start, like, the new environment. Such a huge injection of cards. You must have, Glenn. You're our king innovator. You must have been mucking around with a few decks.
Yeah, I mucked around with a whole heap, but every person I versed either had Tadaka or like a bunch of cancels. So I don't know what these cards do yet because I haven't actually been able to play them.
You got the cancel woes.
Only master
I will
attachments.
say that my 2 learning lessons from this week is that I really should include Cloud the Mind in my decks. I don't, but it's feel bad right now. And the other lesson is that defensive Rokugan is amazing. So many of these bully towers I reduced to 0, because what I learned over the week, I used to defend with 2, and then they defend your honor after I played the event. So now I just defend with 1, sack it, and then they can't duel anyone to cancel it. So then they go to 0. So
yeah, that defense.
So there's a lot of learning.
Card requires you to choose, like, if there's no, that's the keeper cancel, and if there's no person on the other side of the battlefield, they can't play it.
Yeah, I just got so sick of bully dueling that I realized that the only way to win right now is to put no one in the conflict, and then they can't cancel what you're doing. So like, fate worse than death them. Who are you going to duel to cancel that? Like, it's a good way to address the cards. But yeah, I've been mainly playing Seeker of Crab, and
Seeker of Crab.
been really sorry, Seeker of Earth Crab. That's how long of a week it's been, guys. Just
Is that
so
with,
much,
like, the
so much deck building.
Sacrifice style deck?
Yeah, most games I had 20 fate by turn 2.
And what are
if
your
I had the
Earth
broker or
provinces?
attacker. Is it Vassal Fields?
So using Vassal Fields. How are you finding that?
It's quite good, but because everyone's playing so greedy lately,
Yeah.
you remove one of their 8 fate.
Okay,
I don't
so
know how
I was
good
going to
that
actually
is.
ask about that because I've been running it in quite a few decks, but I found in general, both myself and my opponents, it just seems that people are playing greedier now. Like, there is a lot more fate flowing around, so I feel like if Vassal Fields was one card inserted into the meta pre-Children of the Emperor, it would have been amazing. But just for some reason, I think just people are just hoarding more fate now.
I think because it's not punished is the thing. Like, you've got all these resources. You've got 7 fate at the beginning of a game, right? And if you spend only 2 of that on your first turn and then pass, nothing happens. Like, maybe you lose an extra province, but that's bugger all in the long scheme of the game, and nothing happens. Like, your opponent can empty his hand. Like, I do it all the time. Like, my cheap and nasty deck is all about burning all their fate in the dynasty side, and rarely do I get that much of an advantage. Like, it definitely helps because I've built specifically for it, but there's definitely not 5 or 6 fates worth of advantage in spending 5 or 6 fate in that first dynasty phase.
I really think they just need more effects like the Fires of Justice to punish. I just right now it feels so bad. Turn 1 when they just passed after playing 1/1 Costa, and you just feel so far behind. Because even if you go and break 2,
I had a Soshi Illusionist that had 1 fate on it, and then I got Fires of Illusioned, and all of a sudden it had 8 fate on it.
Did they
Did you get
embrace
assassinated
it
then? That would
afterwards?
have been awesome.
No, they didn't. Oh man, the Embrace Assassinate is someone's gonna pull that off. They're gonna do that bloody Fires of Justice, and then they're gonna assassinate some Weenor with 8 fate on it, and they're just gonna recoup it all. That's gonna be disgusting. But yeah, I really like that card. I think that Fires of Justice card is fantastic. It's just such a powerful effect, and maybe that's the it's a good answer for the greed.
Hey, Butters, have you played with Kureko?
No, that costs fate. That's not really how I do it.
It's not what you're about anymore.
I've been playing with it. I've found it. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a super good card. Like, every deck now is stacked end to end with dynasty characters that have decent abilities. There's very few stat blocks anymore, or passive ability people, except like Tadaka, very, very few. I can definitely see how that would be amazing, like as a reaction to just all kinds of stuff.
It's
I think it would come off really good.
I have to admit that some of my favorite usages of it have been against the Mia Satoshi. When people pull out Mia Satoshi first turn, and they use music, oh man, I've got no
good.
fate and I've bowed my shit.
Do you know what's better though? Is when you play the Poison Master and then you reveal that you've got it in your hand and you just stare down your opponent. You're just like, do you want to do it? Do you?
Come at me, bro.
One thing I love about like playing with all these new cards as well is that, and I count myself amongst these quitters, right? Is that like when you first like you make this deck and you're like, oh, got all these cool new cards, got this new strategy, it's got to be sick, man. And then you like start the game, and then somebody plays a card, and you're like, oh yeah, I realize that there's this huge gaping hole in my deck that I completely did not consider, and my deck's actually worthless, so I'm gonna quit. I'm like, good game, man, you win. And it's just like I've noticed there's a lot of because we've not experienced like this amount of huge injection of cards at once yet, and because there is such a huge injection and the game feels so different, that there is like this sort of like, all right, I need to relearn how to play, and I'm just gonna quit.
Is that how you feel? I just feel I don't want to be a downer. I just feel like right now there's just these Voltron decks that just feel very hard to answer with any sort of experimental deck. It just feels terrible online when they just like have this 6 attachment Voltron that bully duels you like 3 or 4 times in a conflict. I just don't know what to do.
I've been playing.
I sack my guys. I don't want to duel them. I'm just like, let's just get rid of them all.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I would say is like I've been playing with. I played quite a few games. Like there was a set of 3 or 4 games I played against Toridori. I was playing Scorpion Duel and he was playing Crane Duel, and look, it was pretty interesting because he was Voltroning. I wasn't really Voltroning because I don't play attachments at all in that deck. But we were both dodging each other's characters, and there was that. Oh, you're playing Policy Debate. We were both playing Policy Debate. And I'm running. Like the Sidani games of Sidani and all of this sort of stuff, right? So we're both dodging because we're realizing. And I flipped like 2 Proving Grounds. He's got a Proving Ground and a Kikita Dojo. So there is a lot of stuff to dodge. And at the start, like the first 2 games we played, we were both just like not declaring conflicts, and we're just building up ridiculous amount of fate. And it felt like that game that I think Merlin cast, which was that like crazy in the World Cup. There was a Dragon versus Dragon game.
Yeah, Dragon versus Dragon.
Which is both there was a combined over 60 cards in both players' hands at one point in that game, because nobody was declaring conflicts and everyone was just draw. So what was interesting about that though is that by game 3 we went, we need to be cautious, and you definitely felt like if you just raced into if you didn't think about it and you just raced into a conflict, then and you didn't have an eject strategy, then you were just going to get maimed by someone who was going to duel you 4 times and draw 5 cards out of it, right? And it was like Proving Grounds is definitely, I think, one of the strongest cards in this set by far. Like it's just absurd. But you kind of like got to play, and I think there's so many duels, and I've found like my challenge in the little mini meta, which was, I guess it was the longest meta we've ever had, but that sort of like post-Worlds, pre-Children of the Emperor meta where the restricted list changed and, Scorpion lost a Fate Worse Than Death. I definitely felt that, I had the hardest time against, the Voltron decks, and the Voltron decks were obviously dominating, and I think that's why Scorpion fell off so quickly. But now, like with the social puppeteer, I'm running 3 copies of I Can Swim. I think realistically 2 is what you're supposed to run. Noble Sacrifice, like all these cards. Like I don't fear towers at all now. In fact, I kind of am happy when I see a tower. Which is kind of, but it takes a while to kind of, figure that out. But I agree that there's lots and lots of decks that if they don't have that PK, if they don't have those ways of dealing with these Voltrons, then it's just going to be no fun for anyone. Like Dragon with Hatomi and all that stuff, like it's just crazy.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
It's just,
like there's, as I said, I Can Swim with all the jewels around. I Can Swim is way easier to get off now. Like all you do is give an honor, right? And then you're on 2, they're on 1, because everyone bids 1. And it's way more reliable because every game that's popping up.
Well, that makes dueling more interesting, right? I think that like the reason that card exists already makes dueling much more interesting. I think that's a case of why bully duels may not happen as much. I just think in clans that don't have access to that sort of punish, because there's a lot of really good effects that if your honor bid is lower, but there's not many that have if your honor bid is higher. So maybe there's more cards coming down.
There's a couple in there, yeah. And
it's Insolent Rival. Obviously, Insolent Rival, I Can Swim. They're the 2 sort of main ones.
Infiltrator.
Infiltrator,
yeah.
I'm running 1x Infiltrator in a version of a deck. It doesn't quite fit. I think that people will figure it out. The card that I took out was really interesting, like experimenting with all this new stuff. I thought that I had to include Maze of Illusion, which is one of my most disliked cards from a design perspective, just because I wanted to be able to ratchet that honor dial up. But I figured out that there's so many duels right now, like in my own deck, that I just didn't need to bother with it. Like, and opponents are running cursory duels, like the Lion players and Crab players and Dragon players are all running the Keeper Council, and there's just duels everywhere. So you've got multiple chances all the time to kind of muck around with the. And duels are so much more interactive now because people are starting to realize, oh, he's going to bid 2. I'm going to bid 3, and there's all these mind games going on, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I do enjoy the dials.
Are any of the composure cards good?
Well,
Are any of the composure cards any good?
They're fine. Like, not many of them I'd say are like super good. There's certainly a couple of standouts. Like the Scorpion one, where she has to be the target of any effect that she can be the target of from your opponent. She's super good. I can't remember her name.
Social Puppeteer.
The Social Puppeteer, and she also flicks your dial, so she always turns it on. She is super good. Actually, I think her dial switching mechanic is better.
Her dial switch is amazing.
Yeah, it just
Is she a 2 or a 3?
can't be ignored either. Which is
Yeah,
super
damn
good.
it.
Yeah, she's amazing, and that effect is really strong. Most of the composure people are really just like +2 military or +2 political, or I think the little crab air guy is doesn't bow as a result of conflicts defensively, so that's pretty good, particularly when you like watch commander him or something and knock that kind of gear out. But yeah, look,
The cool thing about composure from hand though is that like they may not think that you're playing for composure, and then you can surprise them with it, right? Like I think that's a cool effect that we might see more of.
the funny thing about composure is, I think though, like everyone bids 1, right? And then you said Simcof, you said a moment ago that you started to notice, and so with high, all the people starting to bid 2, and once you cotton on everyone bidding 2, then you kind of want to bid 3, and then Crane and Dragon are both manipulating those dials after the fact when you're dueling. But composure drags it back down again as well. If you have one guy with composure on the table, I think that's enough to make people reconsider and maybe stay back down at a really low bid. So I think composure's practically more of a fake out mechanic than it is.
It's super interesting now. Like I found it to be. The only thing is like, I found there's kind of 2 approaches to it, right? So you could have, if you're playing a deck that just has no duels in it whatsoever, right? You can kind of do that whole thing where, you know what, I feel like my opponent is playing a hardcore Dishonor deck or something. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to bid 1 every time, and I'm just going to suffer the consequences. And if they're running Icon Swims and all that nasty stuff, I'm just going to make sure I've got enough Finger of Jades and all this other stuff. And those keeper cancels are real, right? Like especially if you're playing Dragon, right? Those keeper cancels are like they are solid.
They're prevalent though. They're everywhere at the moment. Like,
yeah,
there are very few decks that don't have them in.
Yeah, so I don't know, like the game feels really, really different, and I know like playing Lion, I don't feel powerless. Like I feel I can interact unless I come up against a Tadaka or a Guest of Honor, but that is what it is.
Lion have really good Lion actually have really good cards though for all the bid manipulation. Like the Tactician and Kage are both quite really strong like ways to address dual decks, I feel.
Yeah. And I mean now with their Unicorn they can start splashing Unicorn, and they've got access to, I think like the Unicorn Splash has opened up some space as well. Like whether it's the Keeper version where you can run Talismans, but it's that Shinyo Ambusher, which has made a big difference.
Oh, that
He's
guy!
amazing.
My God,
Yeah,
so good.
well, it means you're less scared of upholding, and which is fantastic. But it's just a two military skill bushy, right? Which is for 1, which is amazing, and it means that if you're running old box, it's 1 cost for a body with 3 force, with the old box, or if you're running, HMT, then it's perfect, right?
You can sack it.
Oh,
Yeah. And actually, like, there's nothing that cancels it either, right? So you can put down a Pathfinder's Blade, but then somebody can let go the Pathfinder's Blade. Whereas you throw this guy down and it's like, that's it. You got a blank
so
province.
it's not
What are
good
you going to do?
versus like Shameful or Meditations or any of those things that have actions, because usually your opponent will do that as their first action. But when for the on break effects, it's fantastic. And I think now, especially with more aggressive decks, whether they're like the Koden Bayushi, some versions of Unicorn and definitely Lion, they do have a lot of on break effects, and so these are really good. The one thing they don't help with is they don't help with resto.
Of course.
Damn.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess resto's going to resto.
Bid one. Just don't draw cards that way. You don't have to play that.
I don't know. I feel like
when
that's admitting defeat. Before you've gone into the battle.
All right. So here's
Not really. It's more you bid one and then you miss and then you don't hit it on your two shots at the provinces and then it just feels bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the big man himself, Hantei the 38th. Anyone managed to get him in play?
Yeah. And
See,
then
it's special.
Jugoku crashes every time I've got him out. I'm about to bow someone.
So it's
and then
you.
Jugoku
You're the one that
crashes.
keeps crashing Jigoku.
I'm not allowed the Emperor.
I think that crashing is every time someone in testing puts on this trading on the
Rebuild.
sand road into play. I think everything just collapses in on itself.
The world implodes.
Yeah, miniature black
That's
hole
right.
opens up wherever the server is. It just sucks it in. They're like, oh shit, now we got to get new servers.
I've sabotaged him every time I've seen him on my opponent's row. So I don't know what
So,
that says about
Do you
it.
want to just talk about that for a second? I found that Sabotage and Peasant's Advice have gone up in value significantly with the all the new holdings that are available.
Peasant's Advice, or even pre-COTE, it's the best card. Like, it does so much. No, it is. Like, it's the only card that costs Fate in my entire primary Scorpion deck at the moment. Like, there's two of them, and they're irreplaceable. Nothing else does what that card does anywhere near as well as it does it. It's gold. Like,
I had an Imperial KB deck have a 7-turn Ishikawa, and he peasant advised me 3 times, removing all 3 of my Iron Mines. So that felt pretty bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a like Sabotage and Peasant's Advice I think are becoming really important. Like I've played against people who've managed to have a Miramoto Dojo or a Kikita Dojo stay and play for a few turns, and like it's just this static duel, and duels do more than one thing now as well, because if you're running these dual decks, you've got these other effects that are happening, whether it's Miramoto's Daisho to make you lose honor, or it's like there's lots of different
Story defeat.
Yeah, so it's just I just think they're and obviously Story Defeat is a fantastic card that people are starting to run a lot of as well. So it's shaping up to be it feels like a very different meta. So just before we move on, was there anything else really exciting that you guys have experienced in this CotE environment in the first week of play?
I was watching the stream of, was it Portland? I can't remember. The Meek and Foreman one. And I really felt like...
Massachusetts.
Right. I really was very excited about all of the line play. It really, really inspired me to go out and play line. There's no line play in here, so I guess that's me now.
Converting. I like it.
Eugenia.
Well, yeah.
Eugenia is pretty good too. Like, as a crab player.
Yeah, I hear that.
The guys don't stick around anymore.
Have you actually come up against Ujina when you were playing Crabicorn?
Yeah, it just burns through your saves. It's because I don't run Cloud. I told you, I learnt my lesson. Like, 3 Cloud the Mines from now on in every deck.
Oh dear.
It's insane.
Yeah, so we did get to cast. There was issues with the recording, which we won't go into. Certain save buttons weren't pressed, but we did get to cast. The Meek Informant guys were running a tournament over in. Well, they weren't running it, but they were supporting Elemental Championship in Saugus in Massachusetts, which a lion guy managed to take that event out. His name was Brandon Lane, or Brandon W. Lane, and so he won with a.
Oh, he's the Nell 5R guy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, he's cool.
So he won with the lion deck with the unicorn splash, playing old box, and Keeper of Earth, and so we got to kind of cast it. It was a lot of fun, and the Meek Informant guys have kind of got together a pretty cool production values, so you can have cards swipe in and out, and I do feel like there was like at one point we had 3 streams at once, because I think the 6th ring were casting, then also there was a London cast as well.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
very exciting. It felt like wow.
That's
look,
right.
it's all,
yeah, there was it's like so much content. Where am I going to go to get my content?
Yeah, and
it's really
I
good.
did definitely feel a spirit of community as well. Everyone's trying to help each other out, and so it was great to feel that and see all of these games going at once. So I feel like we're going from strength to strength at the moment, and obviously there's a avalanche of cards coming over the next few months. It's just started now, and it's only going to get more and more. It's just going to get crazier and crazier. So very keen to be in the middle of it all and play all these cards. We will speak about the spoilers that all these crazy new cards that got revealed from the new packs that have come out or that are coming out soon in a moment. But for now, I caught up with the guys from Portland. There's like a very strong play group in Portland and we're trying to feature every now and then. We're trying to feature. We talk to the Brisbane guys, and hopefully we'll talk to some play groups around the traps again soon next month. But we're trying to at least once a month catch up with a play group that's and kind of feature a particular feature a particular scene, because every sort of L5R scene, like every town or every play group does have its eccentricities, and it's a little bit different in the way it operates, and it's a lot of fun as to find out about why is it that what makes L5R special, and what does L5R mean in your community for your playgroup. So we'll just have a listen to that now, and hopefully it'll be a fun segment. Good.
Do we press it on one, or do we press it on when you say press record?
Hopefully you press record now. Has everybody pressed record?
Yeah.
Yes.
You got it.
Awesome. All right. I'm here with the Portland crew in Oregon, virtually anyway. They're all I think in around 2 or 3 lounge rooms. So bit of a special report to have a chat to these guys over in Portland and see what their scene is like, and how it might be a little bit different from other scenes like the Brizzy scene we already covered a few weeks ago, and other scenes from around the world. Might just introduce everybody to the crew. If we could maybe one by one let us know who you are and how you got into and why Portland is so amazing.
3, 2, 1. Everyone talk.
All right, I
I'm
pressed the
Mozi.
record button again.
Screw you, Dennis.
Hey,
I'm from Portland, and
Who are you?
I'm Mozi, aka Jared. Right? Yeah, Portland's great.
why is Portland great, man?
We have the best
So good
food
about
and the best L5R players.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I think you've recently had a bit of success yourself, right?
Yeah, I won Phoenix CotE, and I won the Seattle Grand CotE last year.
And that was both with Crab, right?
Yes, basically with the same deck.
So it's correct. Do you have a love affair with Crab?
Yeah, I've played since I was 13, and I've always played Crab.
Shit, 13.
So like 17 years.
Yeah, got it. I think we've got Kyle.
This is Kyle, Daidoji Maika. I came out to Portland actually because of a really good fencing club here, and then stayed because the food and the beer is awesome.
Cool. Dennis?
I'm Dennis Murphy. I'm Isomalt on the Discord server and other places. You might know me from Facebook or the Discord server. Look, man, I these guys are all really good, and then I came up here thinking that this would just be like a fun place to stomp after moving from LA, and like, what the hell? They're all really good at the game, except Kyle never comes and actually plays with us. He only plays online. But like everyone here that's not these 4 people have some crazy ass decks. Like, let's talk about the smoke meta for a minute. The smoke card keeps showing up, and it's like it doesn't go away.
Wait.
And it
Daniel
also
said,
doesn't do
Daniel
anything.
said that's secret tech, and you're not supposed to tell anybody about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it never
shit.
goes away because it's not worth using.
Well, you don't show up to play it, so how do you know? He wins games. A lot of them.
And I think that we've got Evan as well as the final of this little Portland group.
Hello, I'm Evan, and my screen name is also Evan. Evan E. Gibbs. Yep, I'm a Phoenix player, and Portland's great Because of the people. No, honestly.
As you can tell, Evan's really creative.
Oh yeah, I'm the hat maker on Discord. So when everyone's wearing the hats, like I usually made those, not always, but that's my claim to fame. Hats.
What hats? What hats?
No, your claim to fame. Your claim to fame is Holly's pastries.
Oh,
Yes.
that's true. In Portland,
Holly's pastry.
my fiance makes pastries or some baked good, like usually every week for everyone. It's really cool.
Oh my god, that is amazing. I need to try those pastries. Awesome. So, what's the Portland? Is the Portland scene based around a particular gaming store? Is it a pub? Where do Portland players play, apart from online?
So actually, it started off there was a lot of stores trying to do L5R, but now it's kind of all consolidated into one store called Guardian Games. It's a really cool store which has a bar in it. So we play there on every Saturday, and we also meet up around the week. So we'll meet at a pub bar place like every Monday usually, and other various places.
Yeah, there's like 2 or
Evan,
3
the
bars.
alcoholic over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know about all the beer.
So it's a bit of an over 18 place, is it? Like, I guess there's not a lot of young players playing L5R in the main scene.
Not in Portland.
There's like that one guy's son that played, but we'd have to go outside of the bar to play with him.
Yeah, and they weren't showing.
So no one played with him. Then you're like rubbing elbows with the Yu-Gi-Oh players, and can't have that.
Pokemon scum.
We do share a lot of space with Yu-Gi-Oh players at the Good Games in Melbourne, and it's an interesting experience. There's a lot more of them than there are of us, though. I don't know what it's like over there, but Yu-Gi-Oh is extremely popular.
I mean, people stab each other over that game.
Red Castle's been hosting a couple of events as well.
That's true.
Yes.
Like once a month.
So
Jinx. You and me a couple.
and is that another gaming store? Is it?
Yeah, there's
it's
a
a
bunch of
smaller
gaming
gaming
stores
store.
here. Yeah, like I was so surprised when I came to Portland. There are all these gaming stores here. It was really cool.
The
Well, small
Keyforge
business is
scene-
alive here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jared. This isn't a Keyforge podcast.
One of the biggest challenges that we had in Melbourne, or still do, it's getting a little better, is that we have a lot of. It's great that all the stores want to support L5R, but we tend to have lots of little pockets. So we'll have like these sort of 4 to 5 player tournaments every week, but it's a different 4 to 5 players in a different sort of place around Melbourne. And there's probably like 30-40 active players, but they all play in like different different stores. So it's been hard to get a consolidated scene together. Is that the same thing that's going on over there, or is it now starting to see a bit of consolidation?
It started off like that, and then it just kind of died. Guardian, in addition to being the largest, is also like very centrally located in the city, so it kind of just ended up dominating, I think, in terms of turnout.
Yeah. The spread out is actually how LA is. And you were down in LA, Ben. And Paper Heroes is like the best spot down there, but everything else gets really, really low turnouts.
Got it.
Well, and
I mean, like anywhere in LA seems to take forever to get to as well. Like it's only a few kilometers away from each other, but geez, it takes it's like 40 minutes drive.
Pretty much.
as far as the Portland scene goes, it's not even like a large scene. There's maybe like 12 players, and there's a few of them that are well known, and then all the other guys are just people who can't make events, and they're all really good. Some of them play off meta, but they're usually just very talented players. We have one of the guys or the main guy who designed Bushi Builder, and he has a off meta deck for every single clan, and he plays them all really well. But he can't go to any events. So
his unicorn deck's pretty on meta, but everything else is like pretty wild.
It's got Ishikin Initiate instead of whatever.
He's making his own meta. All right.
He did Phoenix Splash in Unicorn before like anyone else did. I feel like he's doing the Nugio thing. Like, although he has every single deck imaginable, so he's done everything.
All the smoke decks.
And he's got access to advanced search terms as well, right? 'Cause it's his
He
site.
designed them.
He said he doesn't net deck anything. He makes all his own decks.
Actually, I think every deck
So,
on Bushi Builder is his.
There's like a little privacy policy. If you upload your deck to Bushy Builder, it is mine. You may not play it. You must pay me a royalty fee. It's So what makes Portland a little bit of a different, like as far as a play group goes? I know you guys are all killers. Like it's a pretty oppressive play group for a new player to go in. It sounds like. Do you have new players that try to start and then like a non-starters because they just get crushed by you guys every day?
Yes, sometimes.
Oh, sounds like a sore spot.
No, I think we try to be really welcoming, but
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people, if they're not as committed to the game, they just treat it like, you know, any other board game. It's like they pick it up, they play it a little bit here and there. It's not something that a lot of casual players look at competitively, and a lot of the time, especially right now, our weekends and weekdays when we're playing, we're prepping for some tournament that's coming up. So we play pretty seriously, and that can be not fun for new players.
Yeah. So apart from your winning personalities, it can be a little bit difficult to grow the game, especially in premium tournament season, I guess.
Yeah, and there's a lot of competing games coming out right now. Guardian Games will be packed, but it doesn't have the same appeal as L5R doesn't have the same appeal as, like, you know, a Yu-Gi-Oh or a Pokemon or a Magic. It's just a different style of game. It's a lot longer. It's a lot grindier. So,
do you think Samurai are out of fashion? Like, do people just not care about Samurai anymore?
Recent
Like, that used to be a
Fortnite
big
skins. Recent Fortnite skins would make me think that Samurai are still in fashion.
Fair enough. They're definitely the whole Japanese feudal Japanese sort of setting was something that's super interesting to a lot of people. And I think that's why they got into the game, at least the old version of L5R. I find with this new version, there still is that, but I just don't feel necessarily the same draw, like mass appeal that old L5R had. I don't know. Did you guys play Legend of the Five Rings in Portland in any of the previous iterations pre FFG?
Jared did.
Yeah.
Jared. And was the scene decent there?
Yeah, we had Mike Pecky, who was like a really famous Dragon player. He like had a few cards that he like won in tournaments. It was a pretty competitive scene, but Seattle was probably the best old 5R West Coast scene. Unfortunately, we lost
for those of us
people in New 5R.
And do you think that was just people growing older, lives changing?
A little bit. Mike was selling cards, and so when the game changed to a living card game, he lost a business, and he couldn't afford to play anymore or like travel to events. And then it was just a new game to learn, and he's got kids. And Kyle played old 5R as well. Okay.
Yeah, not too much in Portland. I mostly played, like, my main play days were back in Gold when I was still in Florida, I think.
Yeah. That was a good edition, Gold. I really enjoyed that edition. The whole era of the Four Winds.
I played it for a hot minute in Diamond, and then stopped.
I played with my older brother. He
That's gross.
I was like, what? I always wanted to play Dragon Clan because I was like a 10-year-old, and he never let me, so I always played Crane. And I tried to play Dragon when I first came to New 5R and was like, this isn't for me.
Is that shots fired to Dragon players? If you want to play Dragon?
The best dragons are still fun.
I just associate I associate Dragon with my mean older brother. How about that?
Some repressed memories there.
Yeah, I got PTSD, man, from Dragon. Why they got to do me this way?
Yeah. So you guys talk about how you're preparing for some of the premium bigger tournaments, and you get fairly serious in your practice sessions. Do you carpool or do you take flights? Like, because I guess I'm thinking about Portland, and I'm thinking about the major tournaments near you guys. I'm sure they're not necessarily like an hour's drive away, right? Like you got to put some miles on either the car or the plane.
Basically, anytime I get a chance to share a bed with Jared, I'll take it. So.
Yeah. I'm the best.
I pretty much live on a plane, so like flying to anything, it's like it's whatever for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have unlimited miles, unlimited points.
I do a lot of flying.
We try and carpool and share hotels. We meet up in person like 2 to 3 times a week, every single week, to play in paper. It's a very, very active, small community.
Yeah, it was cool. We all carpooled up to Seattle to play in the CotE last year, and then Jared won the whole thing, and then he won the free hotel that we got to stay at Worlds. So
Yep.
that was pretty sweet.
Wait, you actually won a hotel room?
Well, and the flight. Yeah, because it was a Grand CotE.
Oh, that was for winning the Grand CotE.
Seattle was a Grand CotE.
God.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why they don't give us Grand CotEs here in Australia.
Yeah, maybe.
Those flights are a little bit more expensive. God, that'd be amazing. So Jared, you've won now, like, because you recently won Phoenix CotE, right? And then you've won this Grand CotE. So what do you ascribe your success to? Is there something that you think that you do differently, either with your deck construction or your mindset on during the day? Like, why is it that you're winning and other folk are doing well but finding it hard to put up the W?
Part of it is definitely this play group. We play a lot, and when I'm getting ready for a tournament, I play just a ton of games on Jigoku. Like, I know leading up to the Grand CotE, I was playing at least 7 games a day on Jigoku, as quickly as I could, with the deck that I was going to play. And then when I'm not getting ready for a specific event, I'm just trying to play as many different things as possible. So I'm kind of like known for playing weird things, and I like to play odd decks because I want to explore what the game has. And like that way, when I'm encountering weird situations, I kind of know a little bit like how to handle them, or like kind of make plays that most people aren't seeing.
Yeah, I do admit, like, playing you on Jigoku, I have actually taken a few of your moves, and I got to use them last night at a Japanese dinner tournament that we had. One of them was bidding 4 on turn 1. I just never ever considered that was a real bid to make. Yeah. I thought that why would you even think about bidding 4 on turn 1? But playing a KB deck, I did that so I could use Good Omens, and I remember you doing that against me online, and I think that if you play the same deck over and over again, is all of a sudden these lines of play, I think you're right, that just aren't apparent, that aren't like printed on the box, all of a sudden start to present themselves. So that repetition really helps, you're saying. So creativity with lots of different decks before you've chosen the main deck for the tournament, and then once you've chosen the deck that you're actually going to push forward with, just play that 1,000 times.
Yeah, and there's like a philosophy where I try not to say that a card is bad. Like, obviously, Grasp of Earth is bad, but
shots fired in last week's episode.
The game is just an environment, and so like whether or not a card works is based on the environment that it's in. So I played you, Ben. You played my CotE deck from Phoenix, and I played a deck that most people would consider is not good. But since I know your deck and you don't know mine
really well,
and like I was able to play around it, like, and it was a very difficult game. But it's not always the deck. It's like knowing the environment that you're playing in.
Yeah, for sure.
And also lulling us into a false sense of security by playing really bad decks.
I mean, he knew turn 1. He knew turn 1 it was a bad deck.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're
I think it had those berserkers, 2 berserkers like turned up turn 1.
It was like 2 Tainted Heroes, a Taka, and a Funeral Pyre. You were like, what the fuck?
Jared, when you play normal Unicorn Splash, do you feel like you're taking ankle weights off?
It does feel a lot easier. But it's not. Still, like, people like to joke that it's easy to play that, but it's Like I remember I played you, Evan, last week, and just lost because I tried to play Mountain Does Not Fall in a conflict instead of trying to do it pre-conflict, and like that made all the difference. And I just I lost a game I was winning.
Oh yeah, you're crushing me.
Yeah.
Until that one little
So
mistake.
Why did it matter that it was in a conflict?
Because he had a censure, and I didn't need to defend. I was just being greedy, basically.
Yeah.
So I can just play it.
Very, very.
I could have played it pre-con. And then if he cancels it, I just don't defend.
Ah, got it. Yep. So you can draw out and you get the extra information before you actually start the conflict. Yeah, what are you talking about? So, Dennis, you very recently had some success. You've established yourself as the premier Portland player, if I recall. So you won the Portland Elemental Championship, right?
Oh yeah, I'm Portland's Elemental Champion. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Everyone else here.
I guess so. I wasn't here. I need some evidence.
So, but I mean,
I didn't
you're
witness
now
it.
you now wear the heavyweight championship belt for Portland, the best player in Portland, Oregon.
Oh yeah,
What was
I mean,
that
Jared
tournament
won
like?
elsewhere. It doesn't count, right?
I mean, he wasn't in Portland, right?
I mean, he lost in Portland, so that's all I saw.
And how did that go? What deck? Because I think there's a lot of Crane players out there that don't necessarily play with you in your style. I noticed that a lot of the time you seem to splash Scorpion. I think's been a bit of a favorite splash of yours for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I was splashing Dragon there. I just went the that really passive route, defend, build a huge economy, and then make massively faded characters and slowly take over the game. I think it's the Kyle style.
It's the untimed Discord League style.
Yeah, exactly. It worked out well. I got some good flops. There was a great group that came up from Medford. They actually outnumbered the Portland players, and I don't think any of them play on Jigoku. So they had a very different meta that was very unique to their play group. They also had no crab players. So Jared was just smashing them because they were like, I didn't know crab could do this. I didn't know that was a crab card. But they had really interesting bid strategies. They would bid 4-3-2 or 4-5-2-2. They bid just really different ways throughout the game, which kind of kept you on your toes because you didn't know if they were going for dishonor. But if you just bid 5 and then have hand advantage, then it didn't really matter.
Is this all just a really long-winded and nice way of saying they were playing badly?
No, I think that they're good players and
well.
that they're
Their decks were
they just had the dragons were running Keeper and Unicorn Splash, which was really interesting. But if you're sitting on let goes for reprieves and then you see them start dropping unicorn cards, then there's only one or two things you're going to let go that game.
Yeah. Wow. So I do think there's an interesting point about a closed meta. So I know that I was when you don't have, when you haven't been playing on the global Discord leagues, or if you haven't been going to CotEs or ECs, is you're not used to the grindy popular decks, not used to the standard lines of play that you see that hundreds of players play. So it probably means there's some really, really unique things that happen in that play group. I know that when I started this LCG, it was with a very small group, and then the first time we played with other folk from Melbourne, is we realized that you didn't have to bid 5 every turn. We just assumed that bidding 5 every turn was what everybody did. And then I think Merlin, who we met, a fellow roller Merlin, he bid 1 and almost dishonored me out in the first game I played against him. I'm like, you can bid 1? I didn't know that the dial moved from 5. So that was really and I think there's a few other little eccentricities there as well. So it's often quite fun to play with those different sorts of groups because not only are they learning from you, but you're learning from them because there's probably something weird they're doing that you've never seen before.
Yeah, we really owed it to them for coming up. They made a 5-hour drive, stayed the night here. Wow. They really committed to coming and playing with us, and I hope they come back because it was really fun to meet all of them and just have a medium-sized tournament.
Yeah. It does make a difference when, and I guess you guys will return the favor if they end up hosting a decent tournament up there, you guys will take the drive?
If they get one, yeah, sure. I'll fly down there.
Unfortunately, Fantasy Flight keeps scheduling our championships at the same time as Vancouver, Canada, which is the group that we want to go play with. And like, I mean, we obviously want to play with the Medford people too, but like, it would be great if we didn't have it on the same day. Vancouver people would come down to Portland, Medford people would come up to Portland, and we'd have a much bigger event. Or like, if we could travel to the Vancouver one, they would have a much bigger event.
So you guys have the opposite challenge we have down here in Australia. We have no events. So
sorry.
It's a good problem to have, I suppose.
What? No events? Yeah.
No,
Probably good that you guys don't have events.
It's less events that Dennis can lose.
Whoa.
Hey, I think they're fighting words. Who
has a trophy?
Portland champion.
I have a Grand CotE trophy.
Yeah, well, don't make me bring my misdated
2018
glasses. My 2000.
Why it says 2018 on it?
Yeah, it says 2018.
Is that all of the EC trophies, or is it just yours?
No, it's all of them.
What?
Yeah.
Say 2018. I wonder if that was because they were originally scheduled to be completed in 2018, and then it just didn't happen. That is weird. Cool. So you're talking about the smoke meta. I guess have you guys had any like crazy funny events that have happened in the Portland meta? Like any notable, memorable stories, or is everybody just pretty chill? Nothing really happens.
Oh, stuff happens all the time. I'm trying to remember. Hey,
Yeah, it's so exciting that the stories just come flying at you, and you can't choose one. There's too many.
We're always drinking, so it's hard to remember.
Let's see. We had
It seems like alcohol.
Well, we had a special league which was really wonky, where PJ is the guy that runs like all the stuff at Guardian Games. He's really
Avanar
on Discord, or he's Avanar on Jigoku, but he's PJ on Discord.
Okay.
Anyways, he set up this cool thing where they made a map of Rokugan, and like you take off little tasks to do. And as you did them, you like claim the area or whatever. So every league night, you're trying to claim stuff, and they had really wonky stuff on it. And one of mine was switch conflict decks with your opponent before you play, and that made the craziest stuff happen.
Oh wait, not switch decks, just the conflict.
Just the conflict deck, yeah. So I played against like a Dragon Monk deck. With my Phoenix deck, and my only monk was Shrine Maiden. So I had this Shrine Maiden that was getting like Mantra of Fires, and he ended up Void Fisting himself to stop a Feast or Famine, and yeah.
I have seen. Yeah.
In that event, there was one pin that was beat a Grand CotE winner, and they were like secret. Like you pick the pin, and then you have to do it. And so obviously I picked that pin, and I had to repick because there was just no one else to play.
Did you repick, or do you engineer a situation where you can get to another Grand CotE
and help Evan win, or
with Evan, and then scoop against Evan in the final?
Wait, if you beat yourself by dishonoring yourself.
Dennis, let's stop talking about beating ourselves and playing with our
Just
brothers.
saying.
You owned yourself.
Sorry.
Good. So alcohol. It sounds like beer is just intertwined into the Portland scene.
I mean, I don't actually drink, so it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Does that mean like the more rounds there are in a tournament, the better shot you've got at winning? Like everyone else's just skill level is dropping.
Basically, everywhere we play serves alcohol.
I'm trying to think. I don't actually. I think the only thing is you don't actually play worse. Jared actually just talks a lot more, but trying to distract
he already
me.
plays bad, so.
I do think I play better at CotEs where I'm not drinking. So.
That's a shock.
Yeah, I mean, I play better at like a CotE or even on the Discord League or in a tournament because I'm actually just focused more usually. But So maybe that's it. The control. You need a new control. Then drink. You need to drink at CotE.
No.
To really find out.
So you want to like simulate your practice conditions at the tournament.
LGB did that. He like I sat down with him right after lunch at Worlds, and he had a beer in his hand.
Handsome Dan never was not drinking at Worlds. That makes sense, right?
I mean, he was playing Lion. He had a reason to be drinking.
Yeah. So this episode, this interview is going to be in, will drop roughly about the time that Children of the Emperor comes out. I think most of you have probably seen almost all the cards, if not all the cards by now. Do you have any hopes and desires for decks that will or trends that are going to happen during Children of the Emperor? Any decks you think that are you guys just are so excited to build? Want to kind of put out there first, claim as your own, put a flag in the ground?
Please, Crane players, don't vote Earth.
Keep reverse the Crane.
Don't do it.
Don't do
if
it.
you're gonna vote Keeper Water. It's at least decent, or something with Void is good. But like, if we're gonna go Keeper, we may as well fuck around with Fight On.
Yeah. and what can you see like coming out of Children of the Emperor for Crane? Can you see many changes to the existing Crane archetypes?
I mean, Crane got some sick cards. Like we got some pretty solid holdings. We got Toshimoko, who's a great military body that we really needed. How that all plays together and what we kind of cut and what works is to be seen. Been playing against a guy in our meta named Jesse. He's been messing around with honor run decks using duels. Daisho is annoying, but it's not better than a lot of the core combos that we had in the clan. So it's not quite there yet. And I think it probably needs the clan pack and maybe even the cycle to be viable for honor wins. But right now, some of those base duels, some things like Try Again Tomorrow, you can get some good 1x slots in your deck and kind of do the same thing an admit defeat does. It's like, oh, they're attacking me with Kaizen. I need to be careful that I'm not going to get, storied defeat on me when this 5 or 7 strength Kaizen duels me once, and I just kind of like, LOL, don't care about it.
And then everybody tells stories about it. What about Micah? Have you thought about any changes to your current decks coming out of Children of the Empire?
Yeah, I agree with that assessment pretty much. Children's gonna give us a few upgrades or side grades, let us tinker around a little bit, but we're not going to get a major new archetype until the clan pack drops, and then I think the dual deck is going to be interesting. It's too many new moving parts to say if it's going to be amazing, but it'll definitely be worth testing out, so I'm excited for that.
Toshimoko, is he going to go in right away?
Yeah, I mean, anything with a red number right now would go in my deck because we have none. Like the fact that he's just got a military body and then probably an ability that'll be annoying for my opponents sounds amazing. Like I'm running Kaizen and Toshimoko's just probably better than him.
What about Paragon, Kyle?
Not sure. Like I think it's not gonna make cut. There's just like if it had one more glory, if it had not the having to attack alone clause, or
it's not attack alone, it's actually
be alone. Yeah,
alone.
You're right.
Yeah. So it means that like the opponent can just block with a chump and then the ability doesn't work.
Tyler actually ruled on that, so it works like Brash and Cautious Scout, so it's not absolute trash.
Oh wow, okay, that makes that card way better.
Yeah, it's definitely playable. I don't know if it's quite good enough to make cut. Like if it didn't have the alone restriction like on your side, or if it had one more glory, I think it would definitely like make decks. But as it is, I think it's just a tiny bit too weak. But there might be some archetype that pressures hand where it would definitely fit in a lot more than current like have to bid 5 all the time.
And Evan, have you reviewed any of the Phoenix cards? Anything you're super excited about?
Let me put it this way. I was actually trying to remember all of the Phoenix cards that were coming out of Children, and the only one that I remember the name of is Ugina.
What about the one you paid 2 fate And all your guys get their glory.
Yeah, you have to be more honorable than your opponent and pay 2 fate and like
and not get it canceled.
I mean, I'll run it in our Portland meta and see if I can get it off once. That'll be fun, but that'll take it out of my deck probably. But
is that more like an achievement? It's like a MMO achievement.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool card. Like I like that it takes the place from the book. You know, it's definitely like a casual fun card, but like those casual fun cards usually don't last in my deck very long because our group is too stacked. Yeah, Jared can do it, but like I'm not good enough to like. No.
Yeah, before you ask Jared if he's gonna run any cards, you know he's gonna run all those crappy crap cards at least once, if not many times.
Yeah.
So do you think? So Ujina's gonna. You're definitely gonna see if you can make the Ujina machine work.
Like it's. A lot of people have been talking about making Ujina decks where you run like CotE and do all the and more and adding twists and buy fires and all that stuff.
I hate you so much.
Yeah, get rid of your fate and then kill you. But like, I don't think it's necessary. He kind of just slots into the normal good stuff KI deck. He's a really good anti-crab card already. I mean, it runs 5 fires already, which is a lot. And I want to put twist back in my deck, so that might happen. But
no, you don't. It's a lie.
So you think that that Ujina is going to instead of trying to craft a deck around Ujina, you just find a slot in the existing KI deck, put it in there, and it turns out that ability is pretty strong.
Yeah, because kind of what he does is instead of changing the deck archetype, when he hits the field, I think it kind of changes like a lot of plays, right? Like your opponent might not want to go Void Ring right now, or it might become, really important to you and stuff. I think it's more like you put him in your deck and then it changes the situation of the game, I feel like. Also, it's really, really good against Crab, and I like that a lot. Because he eats reprieves. Because, like, Jared's always sitting there with no fate characters, and now I can go the Water Ring and the Void Ring and have an effect. But and Dragon too sometimes gets in that situation, but that's more because I run 5 fires. But yeah, I mean he's a good body, and we're kind of running a lot of forecasters that are okay. Like Kudaka might come out, or Prodigy. Like I think I might take out a Prodigy and like a Holding and put in a couple Ujina is kind of where I think I'm going to end up, but I'm going to definitely try and run 3 at first to test how good he is,
Yeah, for sure. Well, Mozi, Crab, they get some new cards, but more importantly, all these other clans get new cards that might help Crab. What are you most excited about?
Yakumo, but I don't think the deck's there. I really like playing Wicked Tetsubo, and so all the Berserkers that have a political stat are really important. Unfortunately, the deck where that would probably be best is a Seeker deck with the Lion Card Time for War.
Yep. But
you lose Crisis Breaker, so then you only have one Berserker with a political stat, and it pretty much kills the deck. So what I'm going to try is a Seeker of Earth deck with Vassal Fields. So the idea is...
Wait, Vassal Fields? Can you remind our listeners?
So it's the new Earth province. It's like reverse manicured, and the theme of the deck is like fate manipulation, fate control. So it's like a Broker Taka deck with Indefensive Rokugan, Way of the Crab, but then it's also running like Goblin Sneak, Ageless Crone, Hand to Hand. Probably like a weenie deck with Rebuild, Kuni Labs, and then you have like you've got Vassal Fields, Manicured, and then some other decent provinces, and you just try and control your opponent's fate pool, and then I mean like the best thing that could possibly happen is that you get like a Fires of Justice off, and you soak up all your opponent's extra fate, and then you play Crone, and then you basically have an asymmetrical Deadly Ground where you're allowed to play actions, but your opponent isn't, and you just like sack your guys to keep making money, so you can keep playing cards.
Isn't Fire's role locked to not Seeker of Earth?
It's Seeker Avoid. So I have to wait till we would need Seeker Avoid. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm glad that you've gone for just a slight tweak on the current deck and you haven't decided to try to transform what the clan's trying to do.
Yeah, I want to play 30 events, 10 conflict character grab.
Just no attachments.
Yeah.
All of it.
just to change it up.
Yeah, I think that we'll see like Lion, that hand-to-hand card I think has made Lion a viable splash, or at least everybody will probably start testing Lion out as a splash. I think that's a super interesting card hand-to-hand as well, because it does encourage you to not play attachments. I mean, there is reasons why you would, but it encourages you to play very few to make that card as effective as possible. But it's it'll be fun to see how that all plays out. So I really appreciate your the time that everybody's put in to have a chat today.
For sure.
Before we head off, has anyone got any shout outs, any particular plugs? It's a sort of a rare opportunity that we get to, we're trying to speak to people from lots of different metas around the world because they're all very, very different. And so anything like locally that you wanted to really call out?
Use code MDLUX for 15% off your order at Luxury Playstyle.
Oh, legit though, I got that percent off. It was really cool.
Yeah, see, it works.
Yeah.
We're all shilling for luxury now. But I mean, those guys are the best.
Yeah.
I assume they have to pay me for that though.
I dream of being able to offer HCR as an odd promo one day.
I'd like to thank PJ and the person who runs the Red Castle Games tournament, although I look like a jerk now for thanking him because I don't remember his name. Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, that guy. Thanks.
Yeah, the Portland crew is super cool. Like, I came here in like January, I think. I came to Portland in like last October, and I just went to a game store, and it was like, "Can you teach me to play this game?" And it was Jared, and it was super welcoming, and it was so easy to make friends and everything. So everyone in the Portland group is just awesome. Also, I want to correct myself from earlier. I said it was a Shrine Maiden. It was actually a Keeper Initiate that I used a Mantra of Fire on, which is even worse. Actually, it's the same.
To glory, way better.
Way
stronger.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, people. And yeah, hopefully we can catch up with you again at some point next year or something when there's a Portland CotE one day.
Thanks for inviting us, man.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Ben, I love you.
Dennis, stop it.
Welcome back. That was the Portland interview, and hopefully it was a fantastic segment and you really enjoyed it. Guys, what did you think?
Yeah, dig it.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, all of the words were fantastic.
Excellent.
The questions, the banter.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That Mozi, what a guy. Cool. So, if you have a playgroup or a scene that you would like focused on, please feel free to email hiddencityrollers@gmail.com or hit us up at Discord, wherever, our Facebook group, and let us know, and we'd definitely love to talk to you. So we have a whole bunch of cool spoilers, and we won't go through this list exhaustively. Podcast is already going fairly long, but maybe we'll just talk about the very most recent ones that have come out. So there was last night at the time of recording, there was some cool new unicorn stuff from the unicorn pack, and there was just some, like, you can see that they're really putting together some unique effects, and we can start to see the difference between Lion and Unicorn, because I think for a while the design was a bit samey, because there was only so many cards and they felt similar, but now there's a couple of themes that are becoming very evident. And I think you guys remember Shiro Shinyo, the new Unicorn Stronghold that's been spoiled?
Yeah.
So that was all about, every card every province that's face up, it'll start with extra fate. So, if all 5 provinces of your opponent have been revealed, then you've got 11 fate, which is pretty sweet. 11 fate, it turns good. But there's a new dude, a new 6/6 Aranat. He's called. He's like he's a creature of some description. He looks like he might be some.
He's not a unicorn. That's for sure.
I feel like he's maybe supposed to be some kind of Kirin-like figure. Because that was the unicorn's jam in the old days, and it's got this sort of scaly-looking back end and spiky head.
That's true. I noticed that.
That's how I feel. It'll be in the book, right? I'll find it.
He's got a wicked beard, and I can appreciate a good beard. I tell you.
Yeah,
it's
interesting.
Merlin's
piece
spirit
of
animal.
art.
This one, Aranat.
You can policy debate all the courtiers in the land as well. It's always important to remember.
Can you imagine like a charged bird versus Aranat policy debate? How good would that be?
I do like how these mythical creatures have more political skill than the vast majority of daimios. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like though it's kind of like you walk into a room, you're about to have a conversation, and then this giant manifestation of an ancient deity arrives and said, "Hey, what's up? This is how things are going to be," and you kind of just. Yeah, right. Fair enough.
All right.
We can't argue.
Well, it's not so much what they say. It's like the vibe of the thing.
I've always just imagined it as a Hamilton rap battle. Like the music just starts and the music breaks into a musical.
Yeah. What's your opinion on the most recent crane and lion border scuffle? And this reindeer says moo. You're like, yeah, okay, you win. That's fair call. Like,
I'm not sure you are a botanist, man. I'm not sure.
Reindeers go moo, right?
I'm relatively confident they don't. I don't know, to be honest. But
so anyway, this dude, he's 6/6, just like all these 6 cost. He's a 6-coster, 6/6. It's got 0 glory, creature, air, mythic spirit, no attachments, which seems to be the theme. They each have they're all mythics. Well, actually, I guess the Beastie Whisper's not mythic.
The Scorpion one's not, right?
But they're all
and it's 6/3 as well, I think.
But they've got a stat that's 6, and they cost 6, and they've got 0 glory. I'm going to be proven wrong because I'm sure one of them doesn't have 0 glory. But anyway,
they're all pretty 6. It's fine.
Like 6. And this guy, like when he comes into play, your opponent. This is one of those things where opponent gets to make a choice. I always love cards where opponents get choices because like sometimes they're very weak, but it's fun like to get the opponent to kind of make a bad decision. So that player may reveal any number of his or her face down provinces. Then place 1 fate on this character for each face down province that player controls, including their stronghold province. So the idea here, it's actually like lots of interactions because if you play this first turn...
I love this.
Because Unicorn player only has 6 fate on their first turn if they're using Shiro Shinyo, right? So you bring this into play first turn. And then your opponent can either reveal nothing to make sure you've got 6 fate next, to reduce the amount of fate you're going to produce next turn, and therefore you get 5 fate on Aranat, right? Or they can, what do you do? How much... Yeah. Glen, you're a bit of a value monster, right? If you're sitting the other side of this and I'm a Unicorn player, I've got 6 fate and I've spent all my 6 fate on this sucker. How many provinces are you revealing?
I flip none of them and then I wave the Crabbit because they have no other fate.
Yeah. No mistake.
So I flip none. Then I still flip none. Unless I have I'm really cheeky and I'm first player, so I'll play a little character. I'll flip my Illustrious Forge to find the Wicked Subo in my deck to set it to 0 or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I'll just find the attachment that I want to punish whatever they've done.
But you'll in general try to flip a minimal amount.
So if we're actually going to analyze it, I was thinking about this earlier. So if they only play that card, I think you only reveal 1. Because then on average, they will see 2. They will see 2 anyways, usually on turn 1. But I wouldn't flip more than 1.
Well, hang on.
I was thinking
on reveal effects.
Yeah.
Can you, if you're a dragon player, do you flip Resto and then
no,
discard their whole hand?
On turn 1, they've.
Oh, it's before draw.
When they've got nothing. I think it's actually the better question to ask is how many of these guys do you run in your deck? So if you run 3, you increase your chance of seeing it turn 1. But I'd run a spicy 1 of so that occasionally some games you just blow out your opponent turn 1, and other games you just don't play it.
Maybe, but I mean, there is the other thought that if you're playing Shiro Shinyo, then you're actually generating a lot of fate, right? That's the whole point of that box, right? So, like, you can probably afford to buy this sucker. Like, if you're generating 11.
No,
fate a
but
turn.
it's the deck slots. Like, I just don't think he's worth the deck slot compared to other unicorn characters.
That's big stats. I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. The unicorn characters are pretty amazing these days. There's lots
Wait,
of
he's
good
not.
ones.
He's not Calvary, is he?
No.
Is he Calvary? No.
No,
But out
you
of that
know,
box, it doesn't matter.
that
so
doesn't
much.
matter. Like, cavalry's not super relevant. I mean, it means you can't cav reserves, I guess. And there's a few cards that it matters for.
I think, I don't know, I'd be inclined to put 3 in. I mean, even if you see him late game and he's no good, you just flick him. Like, discard him or whatever. And I think, though, the odds of getting Aranat on that box turn 1, if you did hard mulligans for 3 of in your deck, I think the swing and the advantage that's going to give
50%.
you right off the bat are so big and so significant that you kind of have to. Like, it's, if you see him turn 1 and you drop him, like, whatever your opponent chooses, you've just had an enormous swing. Like, that's hard to come back from. Like, either your opponent's
What if you play him and you trigger the reaction, and then I play KK on him? Like, is it still worth it?
Okay,
Probably.
sure, but
Probably.
like odds are, say he's also going to pass. So you've just put all your fate in, so you have to pass. So you're probably going to get passing fate as well. And then Unicorn have got no shortage of really good one drops out of their hand. And I think they'll just make it up. And Unicorn have also, of every clan, they've got so much straighten. And even if that one turn,
That's true.
even if you break nothing, like, who cares? He's around for another 5 turns, right, with a block of fate, or I'm generating 10 a turn. And to be honest, he's done his job. Like, I feel like that first turn thing is just really huge. It is never going to be a good feeling. When
So,
he lands
Glenn,
first turn across.
just thinking through this, right, about that KK issue and just thinking about how to generate as much value as possible out of this dude, and like Shiro Shinyo being a deck where you are generating a lot of fate, maybe I Am Ready becomes a card you need to play.
No, yeah, I think that's a really good card for that sort of deck.
Yeah, but I think
but
we're
you're
all
already
agreed that
earning more
this
fate,
is-
right?
I
I think is a really strong turn 1 play. I'm just saying, like, in the later game, I'm not exactly sure if I would want him on my row as opposed to other unicorn characters they're going to show us.
Sure, yeah, I totally get that.
But definitely,
I think this-
definitely turn 1, super strong.
Yeah, I think it's kind of rubbish out of HMT, right?
Yeah. I don't
Is
know.
it, though?
Like,
Well, I don't know.
Like,
You got plenty
the
of
scout-
conflict characters you can
The
play.
scout's pretty good, right? Like, it's a great effect so that you don't have the issue of hitting the wrong province turn 1. But the problem is against Crane, right? They'll just flip Magistrate Station and then they laugh.
Yeah.
like there's a lot of provinces that you
Okay,
actually.
you just go and attack Magistrate Station with your 6/6.
All right, so 1 fate. I play 1 fate. I play my Steward of Law. What do you think the next action is for the Crane player?
No,
What do they do?
I get it.
What do they do, Merlin?
I don't know, man. Look,
Yeah.
tell me what they're gonna do.
For shame. It's the
Right.
classic combo.
So anyway, I'm sure. I mean, it'll be experimented with, and it may be.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm really high on this. Like, I'm not trying to be negative. I actually think, like, imagine just how fun is it just to play this card and look at your opponent and be like, make the choice.
I
What do you
do like
do?
the idea that there are like effects where you're happy to reveal. Like, I like the idea that you can reveal something like Illustrious. You know, the on reveal effects suddenly gain a little bit of extra value because it doesn't
Isn't-
trigger
isn't
like
the new
secret
Crane-
cache or anything.
Yeah. Does the new Crane holding from the Crane pack, doesn't that borrow a character as well? On
No,
reveal?
you got to win a duel against them. Yeah.
Oh, you gotta. Oh, right. No, the province that they showed from the clan pack. I can't remember what it does. I think it bows a
From
character.
No, I
Children
can't
of the
remember
Emperor.
either.
No. Sorry.
Oh,
From
I
the
don't-
Crane
I haven't
pack.
seen that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if the more you're right, the more provinces that have on reveal effects, the better this card. The weaker this card can become because you can punish it more easily.
Yeah. So Market of Kazu no Kami Glen is after it's revealed, choose someone that's not honored and bow them.
Yeah, So there's some really cool counterplays to this coming up as well. It's an exciting card. It's what a 6-coster should do, right? It makes you want to play it, and it also makes you fear it being played. It's what you want from a 6-coster.
Right, we've also got
Like the Emperor.
Yeah, exactly. I never want to see him played against me. He terrifies me.
So we have Young Warrior. Young Warrior is a 2-coster, and 2-costers are generally tricky to justify, but has 3/3 for stats, and is a bushy cavalry battle maiden, 2 glory. This character must be declared as an attacker or defender in the first conflict declared each round, so she is very eager.
Super good. Yeah, she's just amazing value. Really good on that Unicorn Sprint back. The HMT. She backs that really well. Also an amazing
I think
grab
also
for Cav reserves. Like, to be able to fish
great
out
for Cav
3 of these
reserves.
out of your discard pile.
9 skill off of Cav reserves.
and
a bit
then if they switch it to political, you still have good stats. Like, that's the feel good moment.
Yeah.
What I do like about characters like this, and as we're starting to get deeper and deeper card pool, is that it creates real choice in your when you're building your dynasty deck. Like, there is a lot of decisions to be made. It's not just all right, well, these are the only Cav characters that I've got, so I guess I got to include them all. Like, there's another one here, Shinneman Wayfinders, which is a 4-cost bushy cavalry scout, 3/1, no attachments except weapons, which is fantastic, so it can't be clouded. During a conflict, reduce the cost to play this card by 1. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter about the cloud anyway. During a conflict, reduce the cost to play this character by 1 for each participating unicorn character you control. Do you know if the Force of the River tokens are not unicorn characters, are
No.
they? They're neutral.
No, they're not. No, they're not unicorn, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That'd be busted. It'd be absolutely busted.
But you're
That'd
always
be
going to
value.
have people. Yeah, like, when you're
I think-
HMT, you want to swarm anyway.
But if you Cav reserves, right, and you run the Battle Maidens, like, you basically immediately can play this guy for free.
Yeah.
Because you're probably going to get 4 back on that.
Even if he's one, he's super great value. Even if you're
Yeah.
3 people.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
I also think it should be, about the 2/3 as well. He also supports the going first sort of, like, mantra. Like, there's a few more unicorn cards coming out that make Way of the Unicorn slightly more of an edge case.
Oh, like that, the one where the attachment, what was that?
Oh,
called?
yeah.
The Ring of Binding, where you don't lose fate off your person if you're the first player.
Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah, that's
And-
right.
Yeah, and can't all be discarded. So your little person
save,
can't be
yeah.
assassinated. Just super good. It's 1 fate. But that whole, prior to these unicorn cards being released, that whole last week's reveals, spoilers, was super good. That was the Disguise set, which we haven't spoken about, I don't think, on here.
Yeah. So
Story.
yeah. The last one in this unicorn slot here was Visiting Advisor, and it's 2-cost, 0 mil, 2 political, Courtier Cavalry. We rarely see Courtier and Cavalry as a paired set of traits.
That's hot.
Yeah, it's really good. During a conflict in which this character is participating, choose up to 1 other character you control, move this character and that character home. So it's more movement. So I don't know. Like, how do you evaluate this card?
I really like the unicorn theme of kind of imbalancing your opponent, unbalancing your opponent. So you're kind of putting these resources into a conflict. You're going, all right, well, I'm threatening a break now. What are you going to do? You're going to commit some resources? No worries. I'm going to just I'm going to back out of here, and I'll come back at you next conflict. I love that stuff. It's fantastic.
It helps with the new box as well, right? So you can poke, chasing, and then move back home. And
It's important to remember that.
Sorry,
you finish.
I was just gonna say you can also honor it and then play try again tomorrow at a crane with this guy, so you can send 3 people home. so you attack and then send 3 people home.
Well, I think there was another unicorn spawn that was Warriors of the Wind. Did you catch that one? No?
Yeah, that's
True
pretty
Fate,
good
where you
too.
can just move all your cavalry people home and
Yeah.
then move as many cavalry back in as you like. That is...
Yeah, that one actually feels a lot like Unicorn, like the cavalry commit from the CCG. That's got that kind of feels like. I
That
think.
just oozes theme, right? Like, when you play that card, I feel like not only is it like mechanically interesting, but it also feels like a cavalry charge.
Yeah,
that's it.
So you could do like cav reserves, have this horde of characters available, and then send a heap home ready for the next conflict, and just leave those there that you actually care about.
Yeah.
Well, you can also
that visiting advisor is a conflict character as well. So it's not like it's advertised. You just bung it down.
You want to catch up to Scorpion with the conflict side value and numbers.
Oh yeah,
they're getting very close. Like the advisor and that new little scout guy, and even some of the old ones. They just I don't know which ones I want to play. Actually, the fact that that visiting advisor is conflict, I could see that getting splashed real heavy in a lot of other decks because it doesn't require a unicorn.
No, you could put it in Crane. It's a courtier. It's great. Scorpion.
Yeah.
In Scorpion, it's a one glory courtier. That's awesome.
Does it suggest to you guys that maybe they're going to print a few more harpoon effects as well? Like, I feel like a lot of these effects seem
like there might be some cancel movement effects coming up too.
Yeah. Well, Grass of Earth, man. Grass of Earth. Grass of Earth gets value every time.
First on in City Rolls, Grass the Earth meta. It's only going to continue. The dominant part of
It's just that
So hang on. Grasp the Earth only prevents your opponent's characters from moving in, right? So they can still harpoon you, no problems.
Cool. So I think we're running out of time. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to cover?
Was there a question you guys really wanted to tackle?
Well, there was one from I forgot his name. That's super unfortunate from last week. But we had Simcof, bushy builder guy.
The bushy builder guy. Oh yes, he was talking about your
Is it Bran the builder?
The cheap and nasty.
Wrong game.
Nasty deck.
No, it wasn't really a question about the deck. Oh, I can't believe I lost it. That's super average planning on my part, which is basically par for the course in all seriousness. But that's how we do here on in the Western Rollerland. But
cheap and nasty, just
Daniel,
like Potter's deck.
Daniel Napolitano.
That's right. So he wanted to know. So it's just based on the cheap and nasty deck, but that was just how he identified me as a style of player, as someone who doesn't win and But so he's a Portland. He says, I play primarily what is termed by my Portland compatriots to be an off-meta deck, or off-meta decks, plural. He has a problem with these decks and was actually hoping we could assist him. He seems to never be able to actually win, but he does win games, but whenever he does, everybody credits the win with one of four things, never the fact that his deck is actually good. They always say they were just unlucky, or that his deck won just offhand, even despite itself, so the meta basically janked it. Or he didn't win, but a specific card won in the game in the deck, or that he lost to his opponent's brilliantly constructed deck, which is all in meta, and just doesn't, and his opponent drew a bad hand. So he wants us to tell him, the rollers need to tell Daniel, he earnestly beseeches us to proclaim, this is serious, you can tell by the language, alright, we need to proclaim at what point an off-meta deck can be considered to have gained its first real win, instead of just being flukes.
First time it wins.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I thought. I was like, are you winning? Yes, right.
You put it in the you put it in the 100% win rate box, and then it just has that trophy awarded to it.
Yeah.
I think the important part there is that maybe all those things are true, what other people are saying, but the more important thing to say back to that opponent is, did you have fun playing that game? That was a really fun game. To discredit someone's win because of variance, it's a card game. So
I really enjoyed
there is
the way you manipulated that watch commander and that today.
Yeah, or
the way you position them was just
I never thought about this interaction. Yeah, but I was just I never thought about this interaction. That was really cool. That threw me off guard. Or credit your opponent where credit's due. If you're saying I lose because I didn't draw assassinate, well, you didn't draw assassinate, so So that's not how the game went.
Right.
So my
Yeah. There's a certain percentage of the time that you're just not going to draw it.
So my
you know?
insight here is what Dan's really trying to say is he's going, I play with a bunch of losers that are just like hardcore sore losers, and because they're not playing ultra competitive, they're playing their ultra competitive meta decks, and because Dan's bringing these cool funky decks, and when he gets a win, Isomalt who can't keep his cool, or Mozi's who's just like, it's the combo, man. Like they just get frustrated, and they're just like, no, Dan, you're wrong. Well, Dan, I think you're right. I think it's okay to play decks that aren't on that aren't on 5ringsdb.com or Bushy Builder. Yeah, and I mean,
there's more to the game than copy of test.
Yeah,
yeah, you do you, Dan. You do you.
Just accept that sometimes the decks will also lose, but that can also be because you get bully jeweled 5 times, and then it's like you just got to hit the drawing board again.
I
but
feel
that's,
like
that's
you're,
why innovation occurs.
I feel like you're going through some nightmares here, Glenn.
It's just like when you're innovating or like to burst through that bubble. I feel like, to be honest, you got to be someone like Pablo at Worlds, where you kind of you take this deck that hasn't really been seen a lot, or at least for what the channels I view, it hadn't been viewed much, right? And you take it to the top 8 in Worlds. Like, you have nothing else to prove at that point. Like, you innovated, you piloted your style of deck to a level of success that very few people will get to. And you've proven that, when you have an idea and then you work on it really hard, you can get there. And that's what I'd say. I'd just say, like, just win and just show them that you can do it.
So there you go, Dan. You got to get your deck to the top 8 at Worlds, and then you are a true innovator.
You don't have to.
According to Glen.
But I'm saying, you just you can that's the benchmark, right? For all those people that are wanting to take on meta set.
No, that's the high watermark. Top 8 at Worlds is the high watermark.
That's it. It's a simple answer. Top 8 at Worlds. Off you trot, mate.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Glenn. I get you.
If you win an EC and you win with a deck that no one's really seen coming, I think you've proven to your local meta that these deck ideas can work because the card pool is deep enough now. I think there's a lot of
and there's
decks.
value in playing a dark horse at a tournament for sure. Can I say something to the people that are saying that you only won because of luck, or I got screwed or my deck misfired or something like that? I think those people are doing themselves a disservice, right, by attributing their own performance to these kind of random factors. So if you're thinking to yourself, why did I lose that game? And you're thinking, well, it was just luck or I didn't draw this card. Maybe, but also maybe not.
Yeah, for sure. I think my final word on this would be, at the end of the day, Dan, you own and operate Bushy Builder. Just ban them. Fuck them. just blacklist them if they're giving you grief. Don't take that nonsense.
Next time
abuse your
trying
power.
to upload a deck, it's just like, why is this not working?
Shoot him down, mate. Just
create a rating system and put them all in the 1-star tier.
A quarter-star tier, just reserved for people who can't innovate it. Haters, the hater box, put them in.
All right, well, guys, it's been a pleasure as always, and until next time, keep on rolling.
Cheers, guys. Bye.